Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode number 27 of the JeopardyFan.com's live panel discussions. Once again, I am Andy Saunders. I'll be moderating the discussion this evening, and without any further ado, we have quite a panel, so I'll just start to introduce them. Let's see, first up, we have got from King of the Nerds, a former Jeopardy Tournament of Champions winner as well, Colby Burnett. Thank you for joining us again, Colby. We also have the founder of the JeopardyFan.com, Jeannie Kenkel. Thank you for joining us again, Jeannie. Also, from Sports Jeopardy this past week, we have Chris Yoxsimer. He is currently in a car, and he's doing his best to be part of our interview as well. So thanks for joining us, Chris. We also have Terrence Jordan. Thanks for joining us again, Terrence.
Sure.
And from this past week's worth of Jeopardy episodes, we have Karen Ash, who defended her title on Monday, as well as Eamon Doyle. I believe you were on
Tuesday.
Wednesday? Tuesday, gotcha. Okay. So, as always, we start off with King of the Nerds. Colby survives another nerd-off. The Secret Six is no more, as Heather, one of those alliance's members, got double-crossed. You might almost say, into the nerd-off, because I guess Jonathan didn't like where he was going, and certainly that turned the game on its ear a little bit. Colby,
Yeah.
how did that feel?
Well, I knew I was going as good as the boss, and really what came to my head is, well, it looks like we just had a trivia-based sort of competition to figure out who's going into the and typically a nerd-off will follow in some manner, and well, this is in my wheelhouse, and basically I thought they would vote me in, the other team, and then my team would decide who's going to lose to me. So I didn't even bother trying to formulate any alliances or any sort of thing. It's just like, you know what? I feel comfortable taking out any one of these three. So, like, send who you're going to send. And then, sure enough, whenever machinations are at work, my own team votes me in. And then they leave it up to the other team to decide who they want to face me. And they send in Heather. And I've lived this episode. I've watched this episode. I've had numerous commentary from other people about this episode, and it still doesn't make any freaking sense. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. Granted, in the stress of the moment, I did, leave an A outside of where I needed it to be, and very hastily put it where an A should have been in the word jumble that I was supposed to figure out, and screwed up. But I have no idea how Jonathan managed to weasel his way out of facing me. That is some I can't believe that there's a person on this planet who is that level of silver-tonguedness that even happened. So it didn't really affect me in any way. It's just in retrospect, it's like, Jonathan, I have no idea how you pulled that off. This happened more than 6 months ago, and no, I still haven't figured it out. I would have to probably ask him directly. But I felt really confident, and yeah, I absolutely destroyed that, fighting for my own sake and being incredibly focused, saying that half hour that my facial expressions mostly resembled Liam Neeson in the Taken films, because that's the level of determination.
I think Colby's having some technical difficulties with his
I
internet. So we'll get back to him in just a moment. Hopefully his internet comes back up. Let's cross fingers there. We do have Chris. Chris,
That's it.
Oh, now Colby's back. Or is he not?
Oh, okay, sorry, you were breaking up there. Once again, there's pretty dodgy internet here.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just say what you said again?
Oh, okay. You got as far as Liam Neeson in the Taken films before you
Oh,
cut
okay.
out.
That's the last thing that you saw. It's like I was just very determined, and I really did not want to go home, and especially under those circumstances. And yeah, like I just saw it through that I had absolutely zero intention of losing. So I think that was fairly obvious. So not much to say about that particular episode. But yeah,
Any
I like went at the Secret Six. Go ahead.
So, my next question, actually, now that the Secret Six is kind of no longer really there, did you feel a little bit more safe, or at least a little bit less worried about being sent into every single nerd off?
Like, actually, no, because frankly, Amanda would want revenge, so that was obvious. And as if we lost Amanda, and way to weasel his way out of facing me, and the other team might still want blood. So I didn't feel particularly safe after that. So that is what it is.
I'm looking forward to next Friday's episode for sure to see what else they have in store for Colby and the remaining nerds. Let's see. Next up, we have Chris Yoxsimer on the panel.
Can I ask a quick King of the Nerds
of
question?
course, yes, for sure, Jeannie.
Just wondered what Penn was like, Colby.
So Penn is every bit as over the top in like it is 95% him. So he just unleashed whatever was on his mind with absolutely no concept of decorum or like whatsoever. It's just like, you know, that moment where Rochelle Lefevre was like, oh God, and like Penn's like, there is no God.
Yeah,
like,
he said that at least twice. I was like, what's the matter with him? Nobody says
like,
that.
you know, even the most militant of atheists tend to let that phrase just kind of roll off people's tongue. Like, that's just the thing that happens. And he's just like, no, I need to make this about me. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm not going to crap on anybody's religion or lack thereof. But it's just like, really?
Yeah, that was so weird. I saw that too. Did you get to talk to him yourself?
What?
Did you talk to him yourself?
I did. I tried to strike up a conversation, so like whatever, like sports, and he's just like, I never watched a game. Like I've never watched a game in my life. It's like, but like UNLV, like you've lived in Vegas for like 30 freaking years. And it's like, no, like we're not having this conversation. I'm like,
oh wow.
Okay, I tried, and yeah, he was just like, I have a feeling that this was like a favor because he like the school, like the group probably can't afford to pay him too much to come out here and hang out with us for like the few hours that he was there. But it's just like he was like, I'm there. I'm going to show off what I can do. Then I'm going to go home and go do a show. And thanks for being here. And it was, and like the guy was just so over the top. It was, I couldn't even, like, I just kind of walked away saying, like, all right, this just happened, and I just have to go deal with it. But the guy is amazing at what he does. He definitely knows how to communicate, because that's what he does for a living.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that, the other team having him gave them that slight advantage. So.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was another thing.
Go ahead.
One last thing. So when Rochelle, like, when we were losing, and, it's like, well, like, Rochelle, how do you feel? And she's like, I have faith in my team. It's just like, you know what faith is? Faith is belief without evidence to back it up. And I'm like,
yeah, you said that on TV too.
It's just like, those were the juiciest things, and clearly what I were the most. So okay,
Yeah.
like that is who that guy is, and I don't think
Okay.
it's a front. I think that's exactly who he is.
Yeah. Who was the other celebrity? I didn't recognize her. What is she from?
She's
Yeah,
from
I
Under
didn't
the
recognize
Dome.
her either, and I thought that was a bad sign.
Yeah.
My
So
dad
that is
watches Under
Michelle
the Dome.
Lefevre. Yeah, so she's on Under the Dome, which established her nerd cred. But she was
Oh.
introduced as a Twilight actress, which she was I did the research. So Victoria, who is I believe one of the main antagonists in the series, uh, and one of the main antagonists in the series, who eventually was replaced for whatever reason. So she portrayed, and then someone else did later. And also, when someone mentioned her Twilight background, and she said that she was no longer acting, why she didn't pursue the role in later films. And of course, Penn, being Penn, says, "Oh, like what happened? Did you age out?" And I'm just, we're just
Uh-oh.
like, "Oh my god!" Like he will go at anybody,
Wow.
and it's like, "Oh, like." It's like, he's like, "Oh, did you age out?" I'm like, just
Wow.
really? So
So who would you say was more, I'm just here because I have to be here, Moby or Penn Jillette?
I would say at least Penn had a good time. Like Penn wasn't out to just absolutely crap on everything that we were doing. He's just like, this is a competition. He seems like a very competitive guy, and he has legitimate nerd cred. He's like, I need to go show this off. And Moby was just like, I'm just crap on everything that everybody does, and super Simon Cowell fashion, and even check your nerd cred because I don't believe you have it. At least Penn somewhat treated all of us as equals, at least as competitive. So,
Okay.
I really hated that I had to go against him. Like it was one of those situations I would love to have that guy on my team, even though like he just went off what he said some outlandish.
Oh, I think he froze up again.
Oh dear. Colby, are
Okay.
you still there?
The ghost of Colby.
Okay.
Oh.
We can go back to Colby in just a little bit. I think
Okay.
it's a good time to move on to Sports Jeopardy at this point.
Okay.
And we've got Chris Yoxsimer on the panel this evening, and all I have to say is if you haven't watched this episode of Sports Jeopardy, A, you should.
Yeah.
B, you're going to be spoiled because I just want to say first up, Chris, that was one heck of a score. Congratulations, right off the top. Congratulations. That was really well done and well played.
Woo.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, Bill was a great competitor. He was a very smart guy and spectacular on the buzzer. So I just did what I did to survive the game.
Yeah. Wow.
What was your buzzer secret? Because I mean, obviously, Troy was. I think he got in twice.
Yeah.
Troy's a nice guy, but we go through rehearsals, and if I knew the question, as soon as that light came on, I was just trying to go. And in rehearsals,
Yeah.
I was really good. I noticed Bill was too, and then we were matched up, and then he was just dominating, and it was in my head for a while.
Hmm.
I think I was going too early and getting locked out a little bit. But you just got to stay with it and keep trying.
And I mean, obvious. A couple of other questions I have. Now, being so close to Los Angeles, were you a taping alternate at any point, or was this your first time called out to the studio?
That was the first time I was called in. Somebody else was an alternate from LA that day, and they'd asked if I'd been an alternate already, and I was like, no. They just asked me to come on.
Huh.
So, nope, I wasn't an alternate.
And how many of the Crackle episodes had you seen before you taped? So did you get much of an idea going in, or?
Yeah, I watched all of them beforehand, and I binged watched half of them that Friday night before I taped on a Sunday. So I just wanted to feel for it, and I felt I would have won about half of them, but if you don't know Final Jeopardy, odds are you're going home. So I thought I was going to kind of have the game Bill had, play a good game and not know Final Jeopardy.
And obviously, it worked out for you that you went on your Final Jeopardy from the beginning to the beginning of the Super Bowls to the end, as opposed to the end to the beginning, which is what Bill appeared to do.
Oh, well, I just happened to be in my wheelhouse. I just kind of knew the question. So got lucky Bill missed that Final Jeopardy.
I guess for the entire panel, I suppose 44-5 in terms of a score. I think we can have some serious discussions as to whether or not that score will hold up for the Tournament of Champions. What do we think? I mean, that's easily the highest score so far by about 15,000 points. So, do we think 44-5 will hold up?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, by far.
I think he'll make it, yeah.
I hope, but once there's a target, people are always trying to climb above the new record.
And people know what it is because they tell you guys the high scores. So, and you didn't know that.
During one of the intermissions, Dan Patrick came up and said, "That's the high score you two are playing for. Keep it up." So,
I was impressed, Chris, that Bill, he got that daily double. He went true daily double early on. He got a real big lead on you guys, but you were able to come back and make it up and then some at the end.
Yeah, when I watched it, I didn't realize I was that far behind. I was just trying to answer the question, stay with it. I thought it was a little closer. So I just thought I was behind by a little bit. So during the game, it never registered that I was that far behind. Until the end.
And then it was like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit behind, and
yeah, I wanted to be ahead going into Final Jeopardy, and then when I couldn't beat him on the buzzer those last couple times, and none of us knew the ski questions or snow questions, so.
Oh yeah.
So I couldn't just quite get over the hump, but Final Jeopardy worked out, and sometimes that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes, congratulations. Hopefully, we'll see you in the tournament at the end. We can certainly cross our fingers for that one. 44-5 is a great score.
Yeah.
I'll be watching anxiously from now on.
Yeah, for sure. Are you studying any extra, Chris?
I'm gonna start studying a little bit just to make sure, because it's like taking a test. You're kind of sharper on that day.
Oh.
Some of those questions I probably couldn't answer today, but so I want to stay kind of sharp. And once I think I have a legitimate chance, I'll really, really, really bear down.
Yeah. Okay. It's exciting. I mean, you have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking to think every week I have to. I'm sorry, people, but kind of cheer against you a little bit.
Yeah.
Or at least for a bunch of hard Final Jeopardies, so that people can't quite get to the 44,000.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I feel pretty good about your chances, actually. So.
Well, thank you. I just wait to see what. It's all out. I don't have any control anymore.
Yeah.
So we had an interesting week on Jeopardy. We had 2 games this week where the winning total was below what second place would get. My father sent me a message and was like, "You need to give your panelists a grilling." And I was like, Why would I want to give my panelists a grilling? Because if I give my panelists a grilling, nobody's going to want to come on anymore. Um, so I'm going to open this. I'm going to open this up. The first question up to the entire panel. If you were scheduled to tape next week, and you saw this set of 5 games Monday through Friday, what would you most want to look at this weekend in last-minute studying?
Presidential alma maters.
What was the answer?
He said presidential alma maters.
Oh.
Yeah, Hoover went to Stanford.
Yeah, studied lots of presidential stuff, but not that.
I don't know, basic math skills.
Basic math skills. So, you know, how to wager in Final Jeopardy, perchance?
Maybe, but I feel like no matter I knew what I should have wagered, but there's the logic, and then there's the, you know, the cartoon where your eyes turn into dollar signs. You know, like if I were a logical, I knew exactly what I should have bet to like play smart and play the numbers, because a friend of mine prepared like a very elaborate spreadsheet beforehand. But it's one thing to kind of have the spreadsheet, and it's another hand to have a category you feel good about, to be like, that extra $10,000 is going to buy me a really nice hotel room in Iceland kind of thing. And then like immediately afterwards you're like, I've made a terrible mistake. So prepare like tamping down your greed and your emotions. I don't know.
So you might almost say that there was some hubris in the mythology category.
I wouldn't call it. I see what you did there. I don't know if hubris is the right answer, but sometimes it's just kind of like, you know, I don't know which you know, deity I angered that day, but you know, sorry Poseidon.
And I mean, Karen, I would probably say that yours was not even the most egregious of the 5 shows this week.
Oh, that's good. I managed to watch Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but didn't see Thursdays and Fridays. So
I guess you didn't stay after the taping.
So spoiler alert, I don't know what you're talking about, but I would. Oh, do I need to go back and watch something? There's something.
You should probably watch Fridays.
Okay.
I saw a Twitter conversation. I knew something was going to be happening Friday because I saw a Twitter conversation earlier in the week between Christina and Dolly Murley. She was a panelist of ours a few weeks ago. They're both librarians. And Christina hinted that after Monday that it wouldn't be the only time that there would be a champion who had a very, very low total.
Oh, she said that?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I'll have to go back and check it out. What was the winning total Friday?
Friday, I think, was 1,500.
1,500.
Wow. Yeah, I'll have to go back and check it out. But
I suppose.
So, another question I have, actually, and you guys might be able to answer this, and I could be completely out of my tree here, but at the end of the round, if they have a bunch of clues at the end of a round where nobody rings in and the score doesn't change, do those get cut out sometimes for time? Does anyone know?
I'm not sure what you're.
Like, for example, if the final clue of a round, nobody rings in at all, and the scores don't change, do they cut that clue out, or do they still show it for the people at home?
Oh, they definitely still show it.
Yeah, I think they still show everything that, to my knowledge, I couldn't think of any actual questions that were ever cut out
Yeah.
during my episodes. The only thing, and I think I mentioned it last time, were some of the chit chat, the stories, those got edited. But as for actual questions, I don't think anything ever gets cut out.
Okay. Because I know we've had a few discussions as to how best to get through 61 clues, and I mean that obviously would be a mitigating factor. That's something I thought of over the past week and figured I'd ask you guys.
All right. So as far as I know, no.
Okay.
In my case, caffeine helped.
Okay, so if you're watching this and you're going on in the near future, you should probably caffeine might be your friend. Just curious, Eamon, the Angels Daily Double you had.
Yeah. What's your question?
What was your thought process? How did you did you just blank on Archangels, or did you think that Seraphim was the
I definitely didn't think Seraphim was right. I've told everyone who would listen, if I told you how close my thought process got me to Archangels, it would break your heart. That's the short. The long version is that as soon as the clue went up, I speed read it. I was done reading it before Alex was done, and immediately I thought, oh, it's that word that's angels with a prefix before it. And I knew it was a prefix meaning chief, and I thought, well, there are lots of prefixes meaning chief. For example, there's that one you always see before conservative and liberal. That's how close I got to art. And the next logical step might have been to retrieve that prefix and tack it onto angels. But I thought, if it's wrong, you're eating up time by doing that. So just make your mind a blank slate and let it come to you. That turned out to be the totally wrong tactic because it did not come to me.
Yikes.
But I came right to the edge of having it, and I made a bad strategic decision. But I definitely didn't think it was Seraphim. I had Seraphim in the pocket ready to go if I had half a second left, and so I deployed it on the 1% chance that it was right, but I was not at all confident.
I had a feeling that that was your idea that you couldn't come up with the right answer. Seraphim was at least something that fit the category. And so, yeah.
Boy, I let myself down definitely with that one because I had the right answer in my marrow, and I think didn't trust myself enough. Yeah. So be it.
Mm-hmm. To the whole panel, as a including the Sports Jeopardy players, what one piece of information did you wish you had studied before going on? And what's one piece of information were you guys glad you'd studied?
Well, for me, I wish I'd studied hockey awards because I thought I knew them and I blanked out when they asked one.
I would say hockey also. I tried to give my game away on the final hockey category, so maybe I'll have brushed up on that a little bit more.
For me, I'll stick with the Canadian geography.
Yeah.
Why? What's that?
Oh, why
Island?
Canadian geography? Because I screwed up New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island.
Oh, yeah, okay. That was in the Battle of the Decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say betting strategy. I mean, you can't say a category because you just never know what's coming up. I could have studied, presidents all the livelong day and then didn't study, presidential novels or things like that. So I think I studied nothing before I came in. I just rolled into it. But I wish I would have actually watched an episode this decade before going on the show. I have not. That always surprises people. So like everything was new to me. I was like, "There's a Clue Crew. What is this? Alex shaved. When did this happen?" So I probably would have actually watched a show this century to kind of see where things are going. So that for me was a surprise in the sense that I was not expecting the categories to be so, not necessarily esoteric, but they weren't just like state capitals anymore. Like all the categories they've got an extra layer of, it's not potpourri or potent potables anymore. It's like, did you drink this or something like that? And so that I was like, so watch an episode.
I thought you played with a lot of confidence anyway, though, Karen. My wife and I commented when we were watching it. You seem real comfortable up there giving your answers and.
Thank you. Yeah, I just rolled with it. It was just fun to me. Sort of everything was just kind of fun to me. So I was just there for the story. So if I won, it was a great story. If I lost, it was a great story. So I played with no kind of. I was nervous being on TV, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is the culmination of 40 years of wishing and hoping. I was just kind of like YOLO, and I obviously bet like it was YOLO, and yeah. Don't do that. Don't YOLO it up.
Eamon,
Yeah.
did you want to add anything in other than presidential alma maters?
Well, I studied tons of stuff for the show, and none of it came up, but that isn't to say you shouldn't do it. I mean, I definitely was better. I auditioned 4 times before I got the call, and I definitely improved with every audition because I had studied a little bit more each time out. So definitely pick a handful of things you could stand to be better at and that you think you have a chance of getting better at with rote memorization, and go for it. My very first audition, I was, I think, just below the cutoff of passing the test, and one of the ones I missed is what's the capital of Latvia. I thought, well, I could very easily learn the world capitals with rote memorization, so I made it a point to go really whole hog on that, and I memorized them all. And 2 auditions later, there were 2 world capital questions on the test, and I got them both. So every little bit helps. Certainly, there's no guarantee of what's going to be on your show or shows, but definitely identify some of your blind spots you think you could actually practically get better at, and work on getting better at those. I didn't study stuff I figured I wouldn't really realistically improve at. I can't figure out how to make bodies of water more than abstract in my mind. Bodies of water are all just names to me, so I left those alone. For the most part, I left sports alone. But stuff you can actually get better at with rote memorization, go for it. That's my advice.
I was told something similar by a past Tournament of Champions guy when I was asking him for what I should do. He said that don't work too hard on things that you know you're not going to get better at. Basically, just what you said. So that's good advice, apparently.
Okay. I thought that was quite insightful, to be honest with you.
Well, thanks.
I think we're at the point of the show where I look through my the comments, my emails, just in case anyone has anything they want to ask. At this point, does any panelist have any other questions for anyone else on the panel?
Well, I wanted to make sure Colby finished his thought if he had anything else to say when he dropped out a little while ago.
Nah, I was pretty much done, so I'm good to go.
Okay. Did they say if there are any celebrities on next week?
I'm not sure if they did or they didn't, so I can't comment on that.
Okay. My recording, I don't know why it doesn't show like all the way to the end, but it stopped when they were still showing the preview, so I'm just curious who they've got next week, if anybody. But I'll find out.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Greg, I'm not sure if I can say whether there is or there isn't.
That's
but
fine.
I'm pretty sure
That's fine.
they'll just tell.
I'm sure one of the King of the Nerds podcast or preview snippets will have the celebrities if they're going to announce who the celebrities are.
Mhm.
And I'm sure either Jeannie or myself will pass that information along next week when we at the start of one of our show recaps.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so we are. I see no. I see no questions in my various email places. So at this point, I'd like to thank all of our panelists for joining us this evening. I thought that was that was an excellent discussion, and hopefully the people who are tuning in who might be taping in the near future will get some good information about maybe some last-minute study tips. So I'd like to once again thank you all for coming on. Thanks for coming, Terrence and Chris. Best of luck to you, Chris, in sitting on pins and needles over the next 25 weeks or
Well,
so.
Thanks. Sorry I was on the road.
That's okay. Best of luck to you in the remaining episodes of King of the Nerds, Colby.
I'll see what I can do.
Best of retroactive luck, I guess. But also, thanks for joining us this week, both Eamon and Karen. And once again, for the JeopardyFan.com, I'm Andy Saunders. For Jeannie Kenkel, say bye, Jeannie.
I said yes. Kinda.
Okay. For the JeopardyFan.com, I'm Andy Saunders. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a great night.